Cool. So today we're going to be going over some sales training. We got Mr. Ronnie Nasser himself, brand new agent. I'd say you've been at it for what, just about a month or so now?
Yeah, I think I just got my full month in underneath my wing this past weekend here.
Yes, sir. Before we get rolling into everything, could you sort of explain what you were doing beforehand?
So I'm a business owner. I have a good system in my businesses. So I have a lot of free time on the weekend, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Monday. So I've been following my mood. We grew up close to each other, know each other very well. So I've been seeing him on his Instagram, posting here and there, saying he's working now in the life insurance industry and, what a good opportunity it is. So, I hit him up and we went from there.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And it wasn't like you hit me up maybe sometime last year in February.
Took about like 8 months, I think, to get convinced, right?
And like I didn't push out or nothing to you. You just kept watching, and then you sort of just on your own, you were like, all right, this guy, I mean, he's not out here working for nothing every day.
Yeah, it's time. And then I took the exam.
No, awesome. And then so what pretty much brought you here? Just like seeing all the different travel and
Yeah,
just
the opportunity and the travel and, trying to get something else under my wing, trying to grow a little bit more.
no, absolutely. It is a pretty crazy opportunity. Cause I mean, I didn't expect to be in the life insurance industry coming out of college, you know?
Yeah, of course. Right away.
Yes, sir. Now, how would you say your first week or two went for you? Like you got your licensing, you got the course, and then, like, have you ever dialed phones before? And like, how did you feel going into your first week?
So no, I had no experience with this type of thing in the past. Business, yes, but this is all like new dialing and setting up appointments. So, no experience really.
Yeah. And I think what's good about you, bro, is like, yeah, obviously, it's not rocket science. It's not easy. You got to have discipline and consistency. And I mean, you bought your leads and, you dialed them and went straight to work.
Yep.
You weren't sitting there, playing around. And then, so like your first 2 weeks in the field, you were doing in-home. And
Right.
then like, how'd you feel about the in-home?
So I like the in home, but like most guys here are setting up appointments from 9 a.m. to 8 p.m. So basically on Thursday, Friday, Saturday, I have to be in my business by 5 o'clock. So what was happening the first 2 weeks, I would go set up appointments from 9 to 4 and get no showed a couple times. Some people would say like we thought this was for something else, so I found myself losing a lot of time on only a set amount of time I already had those couple days. So I was like, you know what? Kind of watching from afar, watching you and Wiley and a couple other guys in the agency, run these telesales. I was like, you know what? Let me try telesales. And it worked from there, Now I'm strictly telesales.
Yes, sir. Now, for someone like brand spanking new, like, knowing when you started how you weren't too familiar with the products and everything, would you recommend going straight into the telesales or, getting a little dirty in the field?
To be honest, I like the face to face at the beginning because it kind of gives you an idea of what's actually going to be happening. If you were in person and those objections you're going to get and whatnot. So, to be honest, I have a couple guys coming in, and I believe they're going to start straight to telesales. That's how I'm going to let them, start off.
Yeah. And then you'll be able to give everybody the secret sauce for the closing today.
Yes, sir.
Because I mean, you did come out the gate swinging, like everyone you were sitting with, you were able to help. It was
Yeah.
just
So
in your time.
first weekend, all three people that I sat with, I closed each one.
Yeah. So no, I'm glad you did, take the initiative to get in the telesales. So you're definitely more of a remote telesales guy.
Yes, sir.
Absolutely. And then sort of what kind of leads are you running right now? And how much are you spending, for the 4 days that you are working?
So for Thursday, Friday, Saturday, I order my leads Tuesday or Wednesday, and I spend about $1,000 weekly. The same number every week. It's $1,000. That'll last me, for those 2 days, and then usually on Saturday, you know, whoever didn't answer the first three dials, I'll call them a couple more times on Saturday if I have any meetings or appointments scheduled. I'll get to that then.
Yeah, absolutely. And then so like I know right now you're not running internet leads anymore, like doing the traditional style booking appointments. You
Uh-huh.
wanted, you said I wanted higher quality people. So like, what leads are you strictly running now?
So right now it's all Facebook leads. That's the only thing I deal with 100%.
Yeah, and you feel like the quality's a lot there?
100%.
Cool, cool, cool. And so like obviously you're spending $1,000, a weekend for the 4 days that you are working. How many leads would you say you're getting from that?
So it's 3 days. Monday, usually I just hop on for an hour, while my son takes his nap or something. So about 65 to 70 leads.
Good deal, good deal. So I mean you're paying a little more for the leads, but you're getting quality leads.
100%. And they're new, like they're within a couple of days. So when you call, they automatically know. It's not like they had submitted 2 or 3 months ago. They're fresh leads.
Absolutely. And then from say for like that from that $1,000 investment, what are you averaging seeing from that, out of those work days?
So those first couple weeks, I was just starting. I think I hit 2,500 AP, and then the next week after that, 2,800 AP. Last week was a huge week. You saw that big deal I closed 7,800 AP last week. So it's the first 2 weeks is just the learning. Having to call you every time I talk to somebody, or this guy has this and that. What carrier should I submit him under? But after that, the first 2 weeks, you're good to go. Just a matter of learning the carriers and how to deal with these clients, given under the circumstances of the health situations or whatever it is.
Yeah. And now that you're looking at it now, it's really not that hard. But the reason I stress like dude, just go out and do it because that's the best way you're gonna learn. And you saw that from experience. Like, what we do again, it really isn't that hard. Like we're all here to help each other. And you can call whoever helped you, get started your upline. And what's cool about FFL is like you're able to call on anybody. Like, you don't have to be strictly working with them. But I'm sure if you call 90% of the people, they're gonna pick up and help you like that. And it's just being consistency. It's like when you start a new sport, obviously you're not going to be Michael Jordan right off the bat with basketball, but I mean like you go to trainings, you keep putting in the work, you're going to get better and better, and you're obviously seeing that
Correct. Yep. 100%.
now. I guess let's go into the, because you're doing call to close, right? You're not
Yeah.
just in appointments.
So to be honest, with the appointments, the way I found it is if you don't call them and close them on the spot, 60% of the time when you call them back, they're not going to answer. So even if they tell me, "Hey, I'm busy, I have something," no problem. We're so behind. I'm so busy too. This is only going to take 5 minutes. Are you retired, working, or disabled? Keep them on the phone. If they've got 5 minutes, believe me, they've got 35.
No, absolutely, I like that because like it's like you got to get the fish when it's on the hook. If you let
Yeah.
it slip away, it's gone. So I think that's a good reference. Now, let's do sort of like a call to close script. Like, say you're calling me and I'm a client.
Okay. So go ahead. You
You
want me?
call me, bro. I'm waiting for the phone to ring.
Ring ring.
Hello.
Hey, Mahmood.
Yeah. Who's this?
This is Ronnie. I'm calling you from the Pennsylvania Benefits Office for that request you had sent in for more information on the Pennsylvania Final Expense programs.
Uh-huh.
What was your main concern when you sent this request in?
What was it for again?
So you filled out a request online requesting more information on the final expense programs where you put your beneficiary as Karen.
Uh-huh. Yeah, I remember that now.
So what was your main request? What was your main concern? So when you had sent this in, you looking to get some coverage to protect your loved ones and not leave a burden of the final expense, cremation or burial on them?
Yeah, I don't have anything like that in place, and if I don't have my burial covered, how are they going to pay for it?
Got it. So that's why most families send something like this in. So then after that, I'll just send them a license and credibility, and I'll tell them, hey, is this a number you receive text messages of? I'll send that license in with a picture of my badge. I'll say, hey, that's a picture of me on the badge, so it gives you a face behind the voice and you know who you're talking to. If you'd like, you can look me up on the state website on the left-hand side. Just punch in my license number and I'll pop right up.
Okay. Cool.
Right after that, I'll go right into the client suitability sheet. I'll tell them, hey, this right here is a client suitability sheet. It's just going to help me best guide how to serve you and your family. And then, we'll break it down. We'll spend about a minute or so on yourself and your financial situation. That's just going to make everything's affordable and within budget. And then they'll say, hey, is this going to be expensive? Or I thought this was free. I'll say, this is all designed for people that are disabled and retired. So typically the affordability is not an issue.
Fire. And then let's go into it, bro. Just act like I'm a client.
Okay. So are you retired, working, or disabled?
Yeah, I'm retired.
Okay. And are you currently just your only income that disability?
Yes, sir.
What do you make? What are you getting about a month with that disability?
Oh, probably I think like 1,200, 1,300 or so.
Okay, and then after that, I'll kind of break down the expenses. So you said 12, 1,300. Most people would say something like 800, and then you know, then I'll ask the question: were you looking to get buried or cremated? To give them to get an idea of what we're going to be working with money wise, and then I'll write down like B or C on the side of my chart, and then after that, I'll go straight into the health, height, weight, and then are you on any medications? Are you on any surgeries? If you did have a surgery, when was it? I'll write down the year. Okay, and then after all of that, now God forbid you were to pass away yesterday, who would be picking up the pieces? So beneficiary, and then go from there. And then I'll start, with the options.
Yeah. Now, do you dig into the why? Like, are you asking like some uncomfortable questions like, hey, when you die, do you have $10,000, $15,000 saved up? Does
Yeah,
your
so I would ask, do you have anything offset offset that final expense? Or if she would say beneficiary is going to be my daughter, I would say, so how old is she? Is she in a financial situation, to cover something like this? She would say no, and then I'll say, I don't think anybody can nowadays. And
No, absolutely. And then when you're showing the options, are you giving them three options, or do you just show like one option and say like, hey, do you want to look up? Do you want to apply for this one, or do you want to look down? How do you go about that?
so I would show three options. So if they would say, for example, in the beginning when I asked what was your main concern, hey, I want to make sure my burial's covered and leave a little bit for my daughter. So I would show something like 15, 20, 25. Like I said, it all depends on that financial situation. If they're saving $200, $300 a month, I'm not going to show them something that's like 120 a month.
Mhm. Absolutely. And then how do you ask for the close?
So then I'll say, after I give them those three numbers, I'll say, which one of those would you be most comfortable seeing if you could get qualified for? They'll have that paper and pen out, writing down those numbers, and I'll say circle one, and we go from there. Start the application up. Some people say, hey, I got to talk to my family about it, and then I'll go. Typically, there's really nothing to talk about unless we can get you that qualification, because these are just numbers. It doesn't mean anything unless the carrier is going to qualify you today. So,
Yeah.
I mean,
Now, say you give me a price and I tell you the good old, I need to think about it.
you said if I need to think about it.
Yeah. How do you respond to that?
So, like I said, those numbers don't mean nothing unless we can get you qualified today through the carrier.
Hmm.
But sometimes I do get those older people like 75, 76. Hey, I want to talk to my husband about it or something like that. It is what it is. You try to fight through it, but it doesn't always work out.
Yeah. We can't help everybody. And then, so what if they tell you, something like, I want to shop around,
So I
you're the,
tell them
with
these
that.
are all state discounted carriers, and we have about 30 carriers. So what I'm gonna do for you is shop and make sure we can get you the best rate, depending on your health and your age. So whatever rate I'm gonna give you is typically gonna be the cheapest one that's gonna be available for you.
No, absolutely. Well, I mean, that pretty much sums up the presentation. Uh, is there anything else you would want to tell someone that's like brand spanking new, about to get into their first day? What would you tell them? Like some words of advice?
I mean, I found myself making a lot of mistakes when I would get to the number part. So I would write down those three numbers and I would find myself, I would record myself, and that's how I would catch it. So I found myself saying something like, so now the next part is to go to the application, after I say the three numbers. Now I say, circle which one you would be comfortable moving forward with that would fit your budget. And the next part we're going to do is go ahead and get that qualification for you. You see the two differences between how you say it?
Yeah. It all goes back to like word tracks. It's like a long time ago, I stopped saying like, hey, so like, God forbid, if something happens to you, I always say like, God forbid, when something happens to you. It's
Right.
just like one small word can make the difference because like, it's not if something, like it's when something
Yeah,
happens. And
yeah.
that's for all of us. And I think word tracks are key. Is there anything else you would want to give someone that's brand new and just, a little nervous about the business?
I mean, it's just a numbers game. You got the numbers have to be on your side. You have to buy the leads. If you're buying 60, 70 leads for those couple days you're working, whatever the situation is, you should be able to get at least 10% of them. It's a numbers game. If the numbers are on your side, you're fine. Just got to put in the work, stay disciplined, stay at your desk, not scrolling through your social media and stuff like that, wasting hours at a time. And the way I put it is, if I'm sitting at the desk every day, I try to get one close in every day. That's kind of like how my mindset is. Some days, I'll get three. Some days I'll be fighting for one till 6, 7 o'clock. Every day is different, but I try to make sure I don't leave my desk till I get one.
Yes, sir. What's the saying? An eagle a day keeps the wife away?
2 eagles a day keep the wife away. An eagle a day keeps the doctor away.
And then I got one question for you. Now, after you've been with us for about a month or so now, like, do you wish you would have started when you first reached out to me, like last February?
Yeah, 100%. That's what I was telling my brother about. Yeah. 'Cause he's a life insurance agent, but he was with a different company, and he didn't succeed in their system. So I was like, man, I wish I would have went through with it when I first reached out to him.
No, absolutely. And I mean, dude, it took Wiley about 22 months for me to get rolling. And I was just sitting there watching him like a hawk, bro. And, I was just fed up with my situation. And here we are now.
Yep. I mean, we're here now, and that's all that matters.
And then, yeah, I guess if we're going to open it up to some questions. And then I see we already got one from Ted. So he said, was it $1,000 a week or $1,000 a month? And then
No, $1,000 a week. So if I'm dialing Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, I'll start my lead order on Tuesday, and that way Thursday morning they come into my computer fresh.
yeah. And Ted, if you don't know his schedule, I don't know if you were here earlier when he mentioned it, but he is also another business owner. But I guess he's just working, part-time, making it work, fitting it into his schedule just to get a couple, extra income in his pocket. Nothing wrong with it. And then does anybody else have any other questions?
Yeah, who did you say you're using for your leads? What lead vendor?
Leads. So I'm using Facebook leads for my leads.
Okay, who are you getting those from?
Bobby, I believe a lot of guys in the agency here use them.
I'll give you
We'll send you contact information right after. What's his name here? This is Sean. Okay.
Yeah, I got you, Sean. And then there was another one in there.
So they're a little bit more pricier, but they're fresh leads, and people send in their requests online. I feel like they've been pretty solid for myself. That's what I see.
Yeah. And for myself, because I mean, I tried just about every single lead there is out there. A Facebook final expense mailer, I'd much rather prefer that than a regular final expense mailer, because first of all, like a final expense mailer itself costs like $45, $50. And there's still people that are going to tell you, I'm not interested or forget about it. And, all leads are good and all leads are bad. As long as you got the numbers in your favor, it'll always work. And then is there where we could get training on the actual application filling out process? So Christian, I would say there's plenty of videos on YouTube out there that you can do it. And then I believe with like America, there's like a demo you can run through. And I mean, just going in there and just messing with it, just because you start an application doesn't mean you're going to submit it. You can just mess around with that. And then I guess for you, Ronnie, like, is there anything you would want to add about the application process? In my opinion, it's straight simple. It tells you what you got to put in.
Yeah, I mean, once you do it a couple times, you get the gist of it. The first 2 times is obviously the hardest. You don't know what you're looking at, what you should press yes or no to. I mean, practice makes perfect. You do it a couple times and then you'll be fine after.
Yep. And then any other questions? Which lead vendor for Facebook leads? Oh, so yeah, we've been working with like an individual. It's not like a huge company, but there's plenty of Facebook leads out there. I mean, you got TTC. What else is there? There's Game Time leads, Happy Agent leads are good as well, I heard. And then yeah, the lead I've been using is this one guy named Bobby. If you want his contact info, just reach out to me on Slack, and then I'll get you guys connected. I'd say yeah, he does the same thing. Just Facebook leads, high intent. And then I assume you read through all questions in each application. So for me, myself, I mean, I ask just about every single question there is on there, while I'm doing the financial inventory sheet. But like, I'll tell them, I'm just required to read this to you, and I'll just briefly read through like, hey, any heart attacks in the last 2 years, any strokes? What about you, Ronnie? About the same?
So I'll go through all of them because basically when we go through that client suitability sheet, we mostly know what's wrong with them, what medications they're on, any previous surgeries or any medications linked to it. So when I go to the client suitability sheet, I'll get all that information. Then right when I start the application, I'll just say, hey, I'm going to ask you some similar questions to what we just went over with. The cure is just going to, want to be up to date with anything going on with you. And the other thing is, I found that if you're not reading off those questions and you're just going off your client suitability sheet, you're going to have a lot of awkward silence during the call, from the telesales aspect. So I just go through them, even if I didn't know the answer to them, I just go through them again. And, while you're waiting for the application to pop up or something like that, I'll just verify the spelling of the name, date of birth, age, just to make, small talk while I'm waiting for that couple seconds of the application to pop up, even though I have it all in front of me,
Fire.
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, my name is Brian. Thank you, Muhammad, for the call. Thank you, Ronnie popping on. I heard that you mentioned something about your schedule. You said you work about, I think, 3 days.
3 days a week. Yep.
3 days a week. That's incredible. So what are like your hours with it? How are you? Because I think you say that you were part-time too, by the way, or are you full-time in this?
So basically, the way my day starts is I have my 2-year-old son that I drop off in the morning to grandparents. So as soon as I drop him off, I get right on. So from 9:30 to 4:30 is my schedule. Thursday and Friday is 9:30 to 5:30, and then Saturday, I go as long as I need to.
Okay, great. And when it comes down to, are you mainly doing telesales all the time, or are you kind of doing a hybrid method?
No, strictly telesales.
Strictly telesales. Okay, cool. Thank you, man.
No problem, man.
And then Nathan said, do you like over the phone sales or do you do all appointments in person? So Nathan, for my case, I mean, I hit Hall of Fame last year and I was 95% in home. And I was strictly in home. I was against telesales. And then I saw these people selling over the phone and, December, January, I was like, you know what, maybe I should give it a try. And I mean, I've been doing telesales probably for the last month and a half or so. I went out a couple, sometimes on the weekends to see families, but in person, I definitely enjoy like just the genuine part about it where, you're able to sit face to face with someone and, just being able to talk to them and help them out. I'd say, the pros of in-home is that. The cons is, I did get no-showed a lot. So I really didn't like that part. I was driving around all day, even though I had a full schedule, I would get no-showed. So, I mean, as of right now, I mean, I personally, do enjoy telesales just because if someone doesn't answer, I can just call the next lead because the numbers are in my favor. And cons with the telesales is you are going to have to spend a little bit more. You're going to need more bats, more leads. And I mean, not everyone's comfortable with doing it over the phone, but I mean, there's people out there willing to do it. There's people that get their health insurance over the phone, their car insurance. why not the most important one, their life insurance?
Amu, do you get more rejection over the phone or in person?
Honestly, like it's a little mix. But let Ronnie answer that question. Do you prefer in-home or telesales?
So like I said, I'm strictly telesales because of the way my schedule's set up. You know, like those first 2 weeks I was running in the field, I think one day I got like no show twice, and then a lady canceled on me in the morning. So like ate up half of my day, you know, on a day that I only had a little bit of time to run in the field from like 9 to 5 p.m. So I like the telesales aspect of the business just because I can do it, you know, wherever, whenever.
Fire.
But
And then
to
to
be
go back,
honest, you know, we talked about Saturdays. You know, I might be going back into the field Saturday just so I can book, you know, 12 appointments and get some numbers on my side, you know, if somebody's nearby or something.
yes, sir. And then to answer your question, Brian, do I get more rejection on the phone? Honestly, I think I probably do. But like that's okay. I just keep pushing to the next lead. You know, same thing in the field. You know, not everyone you sit with is going to be there ready to buy. But you know, I definitely feel like for the ones that don't like to give out banking over the phone, those could have definitely been a sale in person.
Hey, Mahmood or Ronnie, question. Do you guys ever with telesales like speed up the process or leave certain parts out if you got to hustle through getting an app submitted or just like getting someone numbers? You guys ever speed it up and like just, you know, close in like 15, 20 minutes, or is it always, you know, 30 to 40?
So typically it takes me about, the quickest I think I had was like 28 minutes. It takes me 30 to 40 minutes to close somebody. But I found it, man, if somebody just called me, hey, we just wanted numbers, like, can you just tell us how much it's going to cost? As soon as you tell them, oh, I'm going to think about it, you know, I don't recommend that at all. You know, go through the presentation and, you know, you can build some emotion there and get some trust and hopefully close that client.
Yeah. No, I 100% agree with what he says. I mean, yeah, there's been a few times where like I have closed someone pretty quickly, you know, within 20, 25 minutes. But, you know, when you do rush someone like that, you're missing out on, you know, digging an extra minute or two in the why, building the emotion, the trust in there, and, you know, really highlighting why they need something like this. So I would definitely recommend, you know, going through the actual presentation.
Okay, sweet. Thanks.
Yes, sir.
How do y'all get past that objection when they're just like, oh, all I want is a quote? Or like, can you just tell me how much it's going to cost straight out without them, like when they're trying to not let you do the presentation? How do you get pushed through that to get to the presentation?
So for me, I've straight up told people in the past, like, look, I'm not the quote guy. I'm the underwriter that's here to help your family. So like I can't help you unless like I genuinely understand the situation and go over your eligibility. Because I don't even know if you qualify. Like I don't know if we can even help you.
Yeah, so I guess the same for me. I would just say, hey, I'm not a sales guy. I'm the medical underwriter. Each policy is tailored to you, you know, to your depending on health and age. So I can't just give you out a number, you know, upright. And then the other thing is, some people I'll call them and I'll hear them driving in the background or something. Like honestly, if somebody's driving, what are the chances you're gonna close them? You know, probably. I know I've heard you say you've closed truckers and stuff while they're driving. But you know, we need your social. We need to go over health questions. We need your banking information. So if I hear them driving, I'll just say, when is a good time I can call you back to get this information to you.
Fire. And then Ted said, what about I didn't send anything in? For any lead, I mean, if someone ever says that, I just go back and confirm the information. I just play, oh, no worries. Like you sent this in a few weeks back. Like that's okay. I usually don't remember what I eat for breakfast most days. But Ted, you put your age was 45, right? Yeah. Okay. And you're still at the 123 Success Lane address? Yeah. Okay. So like I said, I mean, you probably, you know, forgot you did send this in. We're a little behind. I do apologize. I'm just the one that, you know, goes over your eligibility and I got to get this out to you. As long as you say everything with confidence, you verify their information, like obviously it is them, you should be golden. And we're not going to book everybody like that, but you know, if that one word can help. Did you used to have to deal with that?
Yeah, so what I would do is just verify date of birth and beneficiary, and then they'll be like, "Oh yeah, I remember filling that out." That's it.
Yes, sir.
Most people think we're calling and we're like telesales or something like that, so or a spam call or so just refresh their mind and get to it.
Absolutely. And then does anyone else have a question?
Yeah, this is my last one. I wanted to ask both of you guys from a perspective of staying detached from the outcome. What keeps you guys just going towards the next? And I know the numbers and everything like that, but on a daily basis, because some people can say that, oh, I can do it 2-3 days. What keeps you daily consistent on a continuous basis to keep you getting pushed, to keep you pushing through, even though you know that you're not going to tell everybody in their moment? What keeps you going even after? What keeps you
So, like,
detached?
so it just keeps us going in general, like every day, get up and go at it.
Yeah.
So for me, bro, and I'd recommend for everybody is like definitely find your why. So like my why, bro, like my dad, when he got here, before I was even born, he was always working 3 to 4 jobs to provide for my family. And I want to be able to say like, yo, I want to retire you. So like that's my why, my family's why I go so hard. And like the opportunity we have here, because bro, I used to not even make $400-500 a week working, 50, 60, 70 hours. And like once I saw the opportunity here, like yes, even on a low sale, you make $300, $400, $500. Like you just made that in 30 minutes, an hour. And like what we do is physically not demanding. I mean, you definitely got to have mental strength, but as long as you reemphasize your why every day and understand why you go so hard, because like that's the reason there's a 1% and there's a 99%, because the 1% is willing to do what the other 99% is not willing to do. And I just recommend finding the why, bro. Add some fire to the fuel tank.
So my why is my 2 boys. So it's my motivation. I want to give them what I didn't have growing up and make sure I can provide for them the best possible way for their future and whatnot. And it's all about discipline, man. Sitting down at the desk and getting it done. Like I said, what keeps me going is that one, I got to get it every day. Sometimes it's at 8:30, sometimes at 10 a.m., and keep going, go to the next one. Don't stop, celebrate, or cut the day short or whatever, on to the next one.
Facts. And then one thing I've learned in this business, bro, is like, as long as the numbers are always in your favor, like you might have one bad day, but I promise if they're in your favor, you'll never have a bad week or a bad month.
Cool.
Is that
Thank you.
your question?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I appreciate
What
it.
is, got a question, man. What is one of the things that you say when someone says the policy maybe premium's a little bit too much, or I could just save that, or it's a little expensive?
Yeah. So
what
I
do
mean,
you guys say?
so what I would say, I'll go first, Ronnie. So yeah, I get that a lot from people in like their 70s, 75. And like, dude, I'll straight up tell them, I'll be like, look, Bill, you're 75. You're not the healthiest. Like, you got to look at it from the insurance's perspective. You're at higher risk than most people. And like, that plays a factor into the premium. Now, if the price is high, you're the one that wanted, say, for example, 15, 20,000. Your burial's only going to cost, 10 to 15,000. Let's start with the lower one, say around 10, 12,000. Make sure you're comfortable with that. Get your foot in the door and make sure you can get approved. And if we ever need to increase it later, we can. But, we can both agree that something or majority of it's better than nothing. And I'll say, like, does that make sense? And like, I just pretty much downsell every time.
Yeah, so similar. So what I do is show those 3 numbers, and if they tell me, I always recommend the middle one. They tell me I can't afford it. I'll say, we can go with the lowest one. This way we can get your insurability depending on today's date. This way you won't have a problem ever applying for insurance down the road and not getting qualified. And we can always raise it, whenever the situation gets better.
And then, yeah, just letting them understand, like, these are the most discounted rates. I mean, 95% of the time, they're not going to find anything cheaper, in my opinion. And if you can help, like, help them understand that, you know, you are old. Like, it plays a risk to it. You know, it kind of sounds rude to say, but like if you're older, unhealthier, it's like all that plays a toll. Just like car insurance. I used this reference to someone the other day. They're like, well, how come, you know, it's harder to get insurance if you're unhealthy? And I was like, it's just like car insurance. I mean, you got 10 wrecks within a year, nobody's going to want to cover you. You're a higher risk. And I just told them that. And I was like, does that make sense? Like, your health plays a toll. They're like, yeah, that makes perfect sense. Does that pretty much answer?
Okay, perfect. Yeah, no, that definitely answers the question. But I had to get some notes out for that. Yeah, that sounded good though. So the high risk part, all of that type, just getting them to understand that their health is kind of like what is making the premium so much, you know, and then knowing that, they take accountability, like, okay, you know, I see where that kind of lapsed into me having to pay this premium. You know what I mean?
Exactly. Their age, their health, all of it plays a toll.
Hey guys, one last question on your leads. The Facebook leads come with a beneficiary identified?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Great job, guys.
Thank you, sir. Does anybody else have any other questions? No, good deal. Well, thank you, Ronnie, for hopping on with us and spitting some knowledge. And then, yeah, I believe this will be recorded and sent to YouTube. I got it recording on the cloud, and then I believe it shall be getting posted. But
I appreciate it. Thank you for having me here. Thank you to
yes, sir.
Calvin for also giving me the opportunity to be here as well. And if anybody's new out there, you know, use me as your motivation. You'll get through those first couple tough weeks and you'll be in the clear after that. Just keep your head up, keep the numbers on your side and keep going.
Thanks, bro. Great word. All right, everybody, let's kill it and start out the week strong.